Okay. Let's, no, I'm not smoking. I'm just playing with my chew toy. Let's take a look at what I just recently finished, which is the Lau and Dresden games. This came in one issue of an S&T magazine, and yes, my rules are terrible for this, as they are with Stonewall. You end up really with two serviceable little games. Now, these maps were originally attached to one another. Here's the Allow map. And it's kind of pleasing, you know, the colors not stepping up too much the way things kind of garishly did after this period. Here's the Dresden one. But, you know, not the kind of dull colors that the older S&Ts had. This is a full color printing, not that kind of tan on lighter tan look. Counters, very pretty colors, give you a lot of distinguishment of the different nationalities, which, you know, there's less than there is nowadays with, you know, the use of colored bands and colors in the boxes and everything like that to give lots and lots of information. But we're already seeing, you know, the advantages of full color printing. Big thing for me is the matte finish on the counters, the nice non-glossy maps. There's some companies from this era that have very crappy maps. You know, component-wise, I loved this era of the S&T magazines. And they really went downhill after SPI lost them. Even the very soon afterwards, TSR ones got a glossy look to them. They started looking like West End games, which were always a joke to me because, you know, the counters would slip all over the place. There was just so many problems with them, and they would rub off quicker. And, you know, there's just so many issues compared to, you know, the simplicity that Simonson put into his design, his graphic design for games. Even with this, with color, etc. There still was sort of an elegance appropriated for it. Okay, what about the games themselves? So, these have not fared well in my ratings. I looked at these after playing this with my current wife, and I had rated, because they allowed the games at a 4. I upped it to a 5 after playing them this time. I certainly had more fun. Dresden especially kind of underlined, wow, I've been misplaying that all around along, and the combination may actually deserve a 6 if I end up playing another Dresden and having as interesting a game. You know, if I see that the Allies have a chance with any reasonable number of playings, then I will change my opinion overall. Elau has always had that chance. In fact, if you strip the optional rule away, it might be a better game. There's just so much luck in it with, you know, you don't want to attack at high odds because you're going to shoot your own people or whatever. But Dresden had this, it felt like a foregone conclusion every time I played it, and it was great to see it just bust open with an Allied victory. I had a couple other moments like that recently on these videos, and it's funny, I think the video actually triggers an exploratory play that I wouldn't otherwise give. We saw it in La Révolution Française, we saw it in the Korean War. My attitude on these games has changed completely because I'm no longer following the formula, because I'm speaking aloud and talking about what I'm presenting in the game as I'm playing it. And a number of games may actually, you know, my opinion of a number of games may become more refined by doing this. Of course, the first time games, I can't bring that kind of experience and that change. But with these older ones, it's impressive to me to see that maybe I haven't been, you know, I haven't looked at them as carefully as I could. All the same, when it comes down to it, this is very much a beginner's game, both of these. These, SPI realized it, they wrote the rules in the same fashion that they wrote the Ragnarok ones and most of the rules for Ares. In kind of the, hey, you're new to this hobby, here's how this is. It feels like Napoleon at Waterloo, which is a fine game, I'm sure, as well. I've played it, and I didn't play it out as much as I've played these out. I never liked it as much. It wasn't packed. It wasn't the production quality was the kind of glossy map. The counters were still fine, but and there were very few counters, and it just didn't feel like this. You know, it didn't feel like the battle that you wanted Waterloo to be. Now I'm picking up. I'm trying once again to buy Wellington's Victory. I bought it once. Hopefully that'll give me the correct experience, but I don't know if I'll get it. I've got a bid in for $30, and I'm not going any higher than that. Because I didn't like Ney versus Wellington. All right. What else can we say about this? And it's kind of funny because I know I'm not really reviewing this too much on anything. The games themselves just don't do much for me. But for a way to teach some of the very beginning concepts of wargaming, especially at the operational level, these give you a really nice picture of the kind of maneuvers and actions that you want to take with your pieces, how you want to set up defensive lines, stuff like that. There's a difference in this game, especially in the Allow one, where you actually have a fairly solid line because you can. You don't really need... double line defenses don't help you terribly much from what I've seen in that. And you still have some room to do that if you wanted to. The problem here is you don't want to let the other guy get 2-to-1 odds in terms of stacks on you because he might be able to get better results on you that way. That's a weird game. And you're trying to prevent advances, etc. Still, it shows a side of sort of this operational level, and I feel like these games really are, even though they're tactical battles. They treat them as operational games. You could be playing a World War II game, you could be playing a this, that, and the other. It could be damn near any period using this system. There's very little link to the Napoleonic era. Now they try to fix that with this expanded simplicity, which really tries to make these systems into somewhere between this and the Wellington's Victory or Ney versus Wellington. I don't like these. I feel like, okay, that's great if you don't happen to have anything more interesting, but hey, let these be what they were intended to be. Play them out for what they are. And because I don't feel like this terribly helps them. I don't feel like this actually does any good for them. However, it tries to put them into something that they're not, and they're not really capable of carrying them the same way that, say, the Wellington's Victory is able to. So take that extra little step. Go to that. Go to the Napoleonic Brigade series. Go to Labatt. Whatever. Take that other step if you want the greater detail. In this case, I just don't feel like you're getting too much by playing these out. But for some players, it's fine. Maybe this is where they want to be. For me, it's a good way to show people a light introduction into wargaming. And one that, unlike today's lighter games, is actually going to get you towards the heavier games. I don't feel, other than, say, the CDG side of things, that today's lighter games have much future. So for CDGs, I don't think you can do too terribly heavy a game for them. But when you get to something like Empire of the Sun or For the People, you have a fairly significant game. So it could be a way to get you to this level to the level of detail where you're ready to make the jumping off to a different kind of game. But it still isn't, neither of them teach you the things you need to know in a hex and counter game. They teach you what you need to know in a CDG. And basically, if you get the introductory level CDGs, you're working towards maybe these more complex ones, especially something like For the People. It's harder to say Empire of the Sun is kind of this bastard because it doesn't use the point-to-point system that everybody uses for the CDGs. So it relies on sort of, you got to understand CDGs and you got to understand the hex games. So in a way, it's sort of like in this own special place, and it doesn't help you to understand hex games. It doesn't help you move from CDGs to hex games, I don't think. I think to get the hex games, and that's where really the complex games and the detailed ones tend to lie, you have to make these steps. You're not going to get there, I don't think, playing Washington's War. You're not going to get there playing, I don't know, Storm over Arnhem, you know. To understand some concepts that just work with the hex and counter systems, you've got to work your way through some of these, or else you're going to play and just have no idea how to manipulate that particular mechanism well. Anyway, I think these serve well for that kind of training exercise. They can be fun for a first few plays, maybe, but I've had trouble with them. One, the allow system, largely because of the luck. If you take that out, but to me the luck was the game, you know. If you take that away from it, maybe it's a fine, you know, little game to play with that. The Dresden one has always been the fact that it always comes out the same in a French victory. Well, we saw that's not the case, so I don't know. I kind of blew my whole feeling about that out of the water here. All right, I don't know where we're going. Probably SPQR again. Back. I don't know. We'll see.